Very good evening. Have a seat. Aboli. Graduation, post-graduation another. Everything in one single place. Now what is it that you do in post-graduation another?
Sorry sir?
What sort of post-graduation do you have?
I have MA in economics.
MA in economics. Okay. And that too from the same place.
For the same college.
Okay. What did they award the noodles in economics for in 2013?
Sir, I'm not sure because recently I decided that I will read about it, but I'm sorry to say that I
You haven't read about that.
But I have a slight idea. I think it was regarding application of computer analysis to predict few models in market-oriented models and application of computer analysis for the same. This is the faint idea which I have.
Computer analysis or computational analysis?
I think it's
One of them. Okay.
I'm not sure, sir.
Kathak.
Yes, sir.
You dance it on a regular basis.
I used to before I started learning for UPSC. I have learned Kathak for 12 years.
You have learned it for 12 years.
Yes.
And who did you learn it from?
Guru Shamati Bhati.
Okay. And what exactly can you tell me about it?
About Kathak or my.
No, about Kathak. We first talk about that.
It is an Indian classical dance, which the traces can be found in the ancient India also, but it flourished during Mughal era, and there are three gharanas of Kathak. One is Lucknow, then Jaipur and Banaras. There is another gharana called Raigad Gharana, which is not yet developed, but it is still there. And do you want me to tell about the specific things about each gharana?
And which one are you connected with?
I am connected with the combination of Jaipur and Lucknow.
The combination of Jaipur and Lucknow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what exactly can you tell me about, like, how exactly is this different from, say, for example, the other things that you're talking of, the other gharanas?
It's the combination of Jaipur and Lucknow. So the only difference is from the Banaras Gharana. In Jaipur, the focus was more on the strength or more on the lines, because it was developed by Rajputs. So they concentrated more on the strength, on the tatkar, which is the footwork, and Lucknow, which flourished in Mughal courts. They concentrated more on adakari, on abhinay, on thumris, on Krishna, Leela, that Holi, that sort of thing. In Banaras, you will find the dance is a bit milder. It is not the adakari and strength both is. It is not lacking, but it is not up to the extent which is practiced in these two gharanas. So it is more of a softer form in Banaras. That is the only difference. But right now, at present, all the three gharanas follow same gurus. They follow same kind of rhythm patterns, and they tend to merge with each other.
What is this reform of dance which was conducted during the early part of the 20th century by people like Rukmini Arundel?
Yes.
Any idea about that?
Yeah, she was a Bharatanatyam dancer.
Okay.
She basically, there were 2-3 things about that. One is there were few dances like Kathakali or the Mohiniyattam, which only men used to practice these dances. So people like her, they actually said that in earlier periods also, women used to practice Bharatanatyam because it came with Devdasi ritual. So she said that women should also contribute in these kinds of dance. She said that about Mohiniyattam also. And one more thing is, they have brought Indian classical dance into the contemporary dance form, and they have reiterated the importance of Indian classical dance as a dance form, because people say that it is difficult to understand. A common person understands Bollywood dance or contemporary dance better than Indian classical dance. So people like her or Rohini Bhatte for that matter in Pune, all of them kind of try to accommodate all these classical dances in the contemporary form and make them friendly to the common audience.
But there is a sort of debate regarding whatever these women did in terms of the fact that they almost eliminated whole class of people who was practicing it between this period when the Mughal Empire declined and you had the coming of the British. So, are you aware of those debates regarding it? No, you're not aware of it. Can you tell me anything about Satriya?
Satriya is an Indian classical dance, which is one of the 8 dances listed by Sangeet Natak Academy. It's practiced in Assam.
And why is it called a Satriya? Any idea about that?
No, sir.
No idea about that. Okay, trekking. What was the last trek you had been to?
I had gone to Dev Tibba, which is in Pir Panjal range. And before that, I did Grigu Lake, in Pir Panjal Lake, Himalayas.
Okay. And while reaching there, was the Jammu and Kashmir railway line working?
No, sir. Because I went there 6 to 7 years back.
So your last trek is 6 to 7 years back?
No, in Himalayas it was. I have done small treks like one to Sinhagad or Torna, some Sahyadri treks, Raigad, Rajgad. But these were the 2 big treks which I did 5 to 6 years back.
Drama.
Yes.
So you act.
I dance.
Even in drama you dance.
There is. I have written about Firodia Karandal. So it is a competition in Pune where you have to perform a drama and you have to include as many art forms as possible in the fold of one story. So in that I dance.
And you have won any awards for the same?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was the theme of the specific play for which you had received an award?
I've received awards for 2 plays. One was a play, French play, which was translated by Madhuri Purandare ma'am in Marathi. It was called Zhade Launara Manus, and in that the story is about there is a man in remote areas, and he just keeps on planting trees of some sort of seed, and he just keeps on planting trees without caring about anyone. He's the only person living there, and a soldier visits him, and he gets influenced by him. So the story is kind of it gives you an environmental message that if you want to do something for the environment, just not care for everyone, do your job. And he just keeps on planting trees from the age of 30 to 80. That is the only thing he does. For that we won the first prize for classical dance and also for the choreography. Other thing which we did was a story based on Sudha Murthy's story, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. In that we performed a play with Kannada background. Some of the songs were in Kannada, and it's entirely about how her grandmother wants to learn and get familiar with the basic letters at the age of 62, and she does that quite successfully.
Girish Karnad has said that Tagore might be a great poet, but he was definitely not a great dramatist. In light of one of Tagore's most celebrated plays called as Chitrangada. You have any idea about what is Chitrangada all about?
Yes.
You have no idea about that. Okay, there's no reason why you should feel sorry. You topped at something like SSC. What is that?
It's a 10th standard, SSC.
Okay, and RBI Young Scholar Award.
Yes, sir.
So what did you receive that award for?
It was an all India exam where you had to
conducted by the RBI.
Conducted by the RBI, and there were around 1 lakh participants and 10 seats for English medium people out of 1 lakh. So I cleared the exam and I got a chance to work with RBI for 3 months. I did a project as an intern, basically, as a young scholar.
Okay.
So I did a project with RBI.
And what was the area?
Financial inclusion.
Natural inclusion.
Financial inclusion.
Financial inclusion. There's a lot of talk of that going around these days. Do you think that's possible in a country like India?
Yes, definitely, sir.
Okay. And what all are the problems that stand in the way of complete financial inclusion? So, like, if one has to think in terms of every citizen of the Republic of India having a bank account of his own, so what exactly do you think would be the problem in that case?
So I think there are 2-3 problems. One is the mechanism which we have developed for financial inclusion is not demand driven. We do not give them what they demand from us. We set up a uniform thing for everybody that you will have cooperative banks in every village, but we do not know what they want. That is why I think SFG is a good initiative, because it is demand driven. It will give you what people want. It will give loans to people who actually need it. So it is, and it is participatory also. So that is why this problem is solved by SFG to a certain extent. SHG, self-help groups.
Okay.
The second problem which I think is about these NPAs, which all the public sector banks accumulate while working in rural areas. Now the problem is from both the sides.
Okay, can you give me some data regarding it? Like, what is the total size of NPAs in India as of now? In that complete Indian banking sector. Don't give me a breakup of public and private banks, but a complete sort of figure of NPAs across the Indian banking sector. Rough estimate?
Can you allow me to guess?
Yeah.
It is 20 to 25%.
Of what? Of the GDP?
Of the total assets held by the banks.
But can you put a figure to it? In terms of crores of rupees?
I know the percentage of assets is in the range of 20 to 20.
And can you put a figure to the total assets of the banks of India?
No sir, because they keep on varying, because assets
And of the total NPAs in India, you say that the
20.
highest NPAs are owed by the rural sectors of India.
By the public sector
Agriculture.
banks across India.
No, public sector banks are the highest NPAs, there's no doubt about that.
Yes.
But in terms of public sector banks, who owes the highest amount of money to these banks? Because that is what is becoming a non-performing asset.
Yes.
So who are these people who are owing money to the bank? Are they people coming from rural India, connected with agriculture?
Sir, as far as my experience with RBI, I came to know that people who take loan for starting a business or especially small scale business, they owe maximum amount of money to the banks. Because
Sure.
that is what
The RBI told you. You didn't cross check. Okay. Ferguson. Who is Ferguson?
He was a governor of Bombay province.
And?
In first 20 years of around that time, 19th century, early period of 19th century.
Early period of 19th century.
Yes, early 19th century.
Early 19th century. Are you sure? So if Ferguson
So
was the
that
governor.
is my logic, because Ferguson was established in 1885. So
Okay.
as of middle of 19th century.
And why should the place be named after him?
Because he gave a grant to Ferguson around 1200 pounds, and also he was instrumental in
The
the
college
land
was
also.
established in 1885.
Yes.
He was a governor general in the early part of the 19th century. And then
No,
he was
not the
also
early part.
available
Sorry,
to
sir.
give grants.
I corrected myself, sir. It should be in the middle of 19th
So
century.
he's in the middle of the 19th century. And then.
I don't know when he was a governor, but
Achha.
this is my logic that
Okay.
because
So, like working around him. And what is this Yashda thing that your mother is a director of?
it is the state ATI, Administrative Institute of Maharashtra, Administrative Training Institute of Maharashtra.
Okay.
It trains IS officers and all the MPSC pass, all those who pass MPSC, IS officers of Maharashtra Kedar. So it is a state ATI.
And your mother is the director of the entire institute as such.
Not the entire institute. She is the director of Center for Human Development in Yashda.
Okay. Center for Human Development in Yashda.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And what does that specific center do?
Various things regarding human development. For example, right now she prepared a survey. She prepared Human Development Index of entire Maharashtra.
Okay.
So there is
And what are the
a-
figures? Can you give me some figures regarding the Human Development Index of Maharashtra?
It is 0.726 right now. It is
No, like concrete figures in terms of average years of schooling. What is the HDI index made of?
It is made of first it will your health indices, so life expectancy,
Okay.
then mean years of schooling and expected years of schooling, and your GDP.
GDP?
Net, not GDP, the net state domestic product (NSD).
What is the problem of piracy in the Indian Ocean?
That enormous particularly from Somalian region, and it has now, that is not in the Indian Ocean, but Nigeria, it is said that even Nigerian pirates are operational in Indian Ocean. But the main problem is with Somalia, and the problem is most of the Somalian pirates are youngsters, and they turn to piracy because they don't have any employment opportunities in Somalia, and they have a different way of functioning. Most of them attack only during mornings or before 5 o'clock. So and
Why?
Because maybe because of their experience they thought that maybe the vigilance on the ship is not it's weak at 5 o'clock. So this is how they operate. That is what my dad told me, that they operate during mornings most of the times. And there was.
Had he ever met a pilot?
No, sir.
No.
He met cyclones before, pilots. Different kind of challenge in the ocean.
What is the 2008 financial crisis all about, as far as the United States of America is concerned?
Sir, it was about it was entirely the crisis of speculation and refinancing, where people gathered assets, they refinanced those assets. I mortgage my home, then I took loan, then I refinanced that loan from somebody else. That loan was refinanced from somebody else, and that is why when the prices of the houses went down, then all the assets became NPAs. So this was the problem, because everybody started refinancing their real estate assets. That is why it was called subprime crisis. It was a crisis of financial institutions, and it did not occur at a real economy level as in case of 1930s.
It occurred at a completely different level altogether. Okay. What are the problems when you are holding students' tests? What sort of problems does one face in terms of getting students to take part in different events, gathering money? So, did you ever face any of those problems, or?
Yes, sir. Mostly all of them.
So, like, what sort of problems are they?
Sir, can I give my answers with regard to examples from
Yeah, that's exactly what we are looking out for.
Sir, one problem which I find in Ferguson is even the festivals in Ferguson are divided. Like there is Mukta Chandai on one side and there would be Urja on the other side. And there is one set of audience who will go for Mukta Chanda and they will campaign against Urja. And there is one set of audience who will go for Urja and campaign against Mukta.
That's like general college politics.
I won't call it politics because Ferguson is very close to my heart. So I will call it lack of coordination and lack of communication between these two groups. So this is one problem, because you cannot, even if you put up very good programs in Mukta Chanda, it is very difficult, because it is quite understandable, because the people from Ferguson, if they come from convent backgrounds, half of them are foreigners. So we cannot expect them to attend fest like Mukta Chanda. But I feel that in Ferguson, the festivals need to be a bit more students friendly, accommodative and flexible. So this is one problem regarding student fest. Secondly, again, all the fests are given a particular time span, 10 days. All the fests have to be organized in those 10 days, and there are myriads of departments in Ferguson. So the college becomes crowded, and all the 10 departments wander around for seeking sponsorship. So nobody gives you the sponsorship. So this is one problem. And third problem,
higher education in India is extremely elitist. It caters to just higher education in India is extremely elitist. It caters to just those sections of Indian society who have already experienced a certain amount of empowerment, a certain amount of prosperity. It doesn't open up avenues as far as those who have been marginalized and excluded are concerned. What is your take on that?
Sir, I completely agree with you, because I used to think about the same issue when I was in Ferguson, because it is known as one of the elitist institutions in Pune. So I used to think about this, but I think that the causes cannot be found in the system of higher education. They actually lie in the system of primary education and secondary education. So in Ferguson, there are, as I said, there are two groups. One is from elite and one is a completely elite group, and those who come from rural background, they cannot adjust themselves to the atmosphere, and then they get marginalized. So the cause does not lie in the higher education system, but at the primary level.
What is the conversion rate between higher secondary education and higher education in India?
Sorry sir, I'm not aware.
I have no idea about that.
I'm very weak in statistics, sir.
But you are from economics.
Factual figures, sir. The figures which you have to remember, I'm very weak in that.
Okay. But it's not that you are not interested in it, it's just
no,
that...
I'm definitely interested in few of the statistics.
But it's like...
I keep on forgetting. I have to revise them again and again.
Okay. Maldives recently held a parliamentary election. Have you heard of that?
Yes, sir.
Like, what was that all about, and what sort of political change has happened on account of that?
The election was against Nasser. The other guy won. I do not remember his name, but it was against him basically, and it made Supreme Court and even few of the sections from Maldives.
No, that was a presidential election. The parliamentary one.
Okay. So
No
I'm
idea.
not aware of that.
No idea. India is voting against the Western sponsored resolution about Sri Lanka and human rights abuses. Can you give me any idea about what was that resolution all about?
There
What
is
is
a
the Indian position regarding that resolution?
India abstained from it.
And any reasons why?
Sir, because there are two, I think the basic reason is when we voted for the resolution, there was a criticism on us that we are sort of joining the pro-Western bloc against our own neighbors, and we are a developing country and we should be sensitive to their interests. So this is one reason to avoid Western criticism, and this is the good move that we have
So
seen.
like after voting in 2012, 2013 against Sri Lanka and 2014, India decides to abstain because there's a perception that India is not favoring fellow southern neighbor who is in the same league in terms of development as it.
Yes, sir, and also the other side, because had we voted against it, then it would have sent a wrong signal to all the Tamilians. So what we did, it was a good move.
Who will win the Afghan presidential election day after tomorrow?
So that person from Ghana, from World Bank, his surname GH
Ghani.
Ghani.
So you're sure he's going to win it?
I hope he will, because I liked his portfolio and I think it will be suitable for Indian interests.
It will be suitable for Indian interests. Like, can you just elaborate on that a bit?
He has said he has been critical of Taliban and also Pakistan-sponsored Taliban, and he has talked about development. He has talked about basically he said that he will finalize the deal with USA about USA forces staying in Afghanistan. So this is what I liked. So I hope that Ghani wins.
And you feel that the Taliban is one bunch of bad people?
No, sir, I don't think so.
So
It is not a bunch of bad people. It is led by 2-3 power seekers who are violent in nature. But of course, there are small kids in Taliban.
And
they get killed.
given the fact that one of your options is political science, how would you look at the results of the Indian parliamentary election on the 16th of May?
Is it? Am I supposed to answer about my predictions?
Yeah. Like, how would you look at it? That's what I'm asking.
Sir, my personal opinion is that every news channel has been saying that this is the most important election of India, about which I completely disagree. I think it is just another election, and the results are. I agree that results were not predictable 3 months back, but right now, I think there is 30-40 ratio. That there are 30% of people who always vote for the ruling party. There are 30% of people who always vote for the opposition, and these 40 will decide what happens. And I used to think that these 40 will support change in government, but right now I am not completely convinced by the campaigning of all opposition parties, and that is why I think that it is very difficult to get a clear majority for anyone.
It's not possible to predict an Indian parliamentary election. It's like one big affair.
And it is not the most important election of India. I don't think so.
It isn't. Okay. Running is what you do, or you used to do once upon a time.
School level, sir.
Now you have stopped that.
I do running and jogging as a part of exercise, but not as a sport.
Not as a sport. And what in the social sciences are you interested in? Economics.
Everything except for psychology, I would say, because I'm interested in everything, but I would say that
it's like the Descartes position that anything that is human, I have an interest in.
Ideally it should be like that, but I certainly do not have interest in psychology.
Other than that, everything is something that interests you. Your favorite economist?
So it's Keynes, John Maynard Keynes.
And any specific reason why?
Sir, I guess he was the father of macroeconomics, because he was the only one who talked about the demand side in the economy. Till then everybody was talking about the supply side, and that is why only his theory could predict the employment at a lower than equilibrium level, and that is why it was suitable for developing countries. So that is why I like him, because he broke the tradition of supply side.
But Keynes was also interested in continuing the British Empire in India.
Yes, sir. But we are talking about economics.
Aboli. Can you tell me something about capital adequacy ratio?
Yes, sir. It is one of the norms of Basel, where every bank has to keep a certain amount of capital as a buffer in case there arises a crisis. So this is capital adequacy.
How much is the CAR that is followed by the Indian banks?
I think it's 6%. If you allow me to guess, it's 6%.
Why do you need to guess it? It is under Basel norms. It is almost fixed.
India would be India said that it will follow Basel norms completely till 2019. So we are not.
So there are, if you see, there are different
In
set of
Basel-
figures for Basel 2, for Basel 3,
Basically, it was 4%,
and Basel 3 is 6%.
6%, and
And what is the NPAs that you recently said? There are 20 to 25% NPAs. Is it possible that you have Basel, according to Basel norms, you have 6% capital adequacy, and the banks allow 20 to 25% NPAs? Is it possible?
is it possible?
Because recently just you said that the NPAs must be around 20 to 25% of the total assets, and the capital adequacy followed by the Indian banks is around 6%. So is it possible to cover the risk of 19% of the total assets?
Sir, I haven't thought about it, but I think it should be possible because Indian banks are.
How do you do that? How does a bank take care of the 19% assets which are not covered by some risk covering measure?
Sir, I'm not sure how you arrived at 93. Is it 25 minus?
Because you said 6% is CAR and
Yes.
25% is NPAs.
So that would be 31% of the assets which are 25, which are not of in use, and plus 6% which you keep as capital adequacy, and then you have remaining 65%.
What is the use of capital adequacy, or how do you count this 6%? 6% is used to cover the risks, and the NPAs are risks, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Then 6% of the 25%
Yes,
NPAs
sir.
are
Ideally,
covered.
they should cover NPAs, but that does not mean that if the buffer is kept to cover NPAs. But still, we accumulate NPAs is a flaw of our financial system, sir.
Who decides these Basel norms,
Basel committee
and where is it located?
in Basel.
Is there any organization?
So
Fine. Do you know something about this Financial Sector Legislative Reforms Commission, FSLRC?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
So it was a commission proposing 2012 budget, and it is headed by Mr. Shri
And
Krishna.
what are the recommendations of this commission?
So the main recommendation is regarding Unified Financial Regulator,
Hmm?
which will comprise IRDA, SEBI, PFRDA, and RBI would be kept out of it. So it is basically newly priced schemes which tend to create confusion between SEBI and IRDA. So it is basically for that.
Okay. Your father retired from Merchant Navy. What is this Merchant Navy?
So it is the naval ships who are involved in import and export, or oil exploration, or fishing, or logistics, providing logistics.
Why is it called Navy? Navy is generally used for defense related terms. Huh?
No, sir, I don't think so that Navy is used for.
Where did this word originate? Merchant Navy. Which was the first Merchant Navy?
Sir, it must be someone from UK, sir.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So India has a separate fleet of these Merchant Navy vessels.
It's a shipping corporation of India, and
Okay.
DG shipping.
And it calculates its tonnage called as deadweight tonnage. What is that? How do you calculate deadweight tonnage?
Sorry, sir, I'm not.
Okay. You must be aware about this because you come from the western part of Maharashtra, the cooperative movement which has been going on since last 50, 60 or 70 years. What is the present status? Is it on decline or is it flourishing now? The cooperative movement in Maharashtra?
Sir, in my personal opinion, the cooperative movement has become power centers, and the corporate, all the sugar industries, they have become power centers, and they are influencing in Maharashtrian politics to a large extent. It is entirely driven by sugar cooperative, sugar lobbies. So I think they are economically they are stagnated or not performing to their potential, and politically they are in fact their clout is
So,
growing.
did it help at all since its inception, this movement for the common people?
Yes, sir.
but your chief minister himself said that cooperative movement has benefited only a few, or very few people have benefited from it.
So I would like to disagree with the chief minister.
So is there any new recent initiative by the government to take care of these things which are happening in cooperatives?
So there is 94th amendment, but I have not gone through the provisions of the same.
Okay. What is the contribution of Mr. Yashwantrao Chavan as far as the formation of Maharashtra state is concerned?
Sir, he was the first CM, and he was
What role did he play in formation of the state?
he talked of unified Maharashtra. He said that the Organization for Vision has said that Vidarbha won't be a part of Maharashtra. So he talked about a unified Maharashtra. And second thing is he talked about Mumbai being a part of Maharashtra. Because otherwise,
So did he achieve what he wanted?
on paper, yes, sir. Vidarbha is a part of Maharashtra.
What about the remaining parts which were demanded by the Save the Maharashtra movement?
So there were parts of Karnataka.
So
And,
why were these parts left outside Maharashtra?
so because of the language differences.
So these areas were having Kannada as the language of majority.
Sir, I think in few parts of Karnataka, the major language was Marathi, but still became part of Karnataka. But I don't know as such.
Okay. You come from Pune.
Yes, sir.
What are the major problems faced by the city of Pune in the recent few years, maybe say 3 or 4 years? Just enumerate those problems.
Sir, I will talk about three major problems. One is solid waste, second is traffic, and third is pollution. Solid waste management has always been very poor in Pune, and there have been talks that we should learn from.
If you want to improve on this traffic thing, what are the 2-3 things that you would suggest?
For traffic, sir, I think land development, that is the only option.
But is it possible?
No, sir, it is not. That is where the option is promote cycling.
Cycling?
Promote the use of cycles. Then you should develop your public transport and complete this idea of metro.
The public transport must be working in the city, isn't it?
Yes, sir, but it
Why is
should
it
be,
that it's not developed?
because sir, any business to develop, there is one demand side, there is one supply side. And if you know that there is no demand for the public transport,
You mean to say there is no demand for public transport in Pune?
only it is only for specific hours and from specific sections.
Okay.
And it is not possible to carry an entire bus in small Narayanpet or Sudashanpet. So it is the development of, it is a problem of planning.
Okay. You haven't opted for this police service or foreign service, one of the first 3 preferences. Why? Why not police service?
Sir, because I was more interested in IRS. That is my third preference, and IPS is my
Why?
first
Why?
preference.
You want to make a lot of money.
No, sir, because I think it is because of my background in economics, which I was attracted towards IRS, taxes.
And why not foreign service?
Sir, IFS is a dynamic service, and there you have to act as a mediator between your government and the foreign government and your own government. So I think it is acting as a mediator between two well-established institutions, like two elites. But in other civil services or IS or any other civil service, you act as a mediator between your own government and masses, and you act as a facilitator rather than a mediator. So I think, given few of my characteristics, this is something which I would be able to do better. But still, IFS is a dynamic service, but maybe I will not be able to do justice to the same.
Okay, you refer to Yashwantrao Chavan in between the conversation. What is his important contribution to politics of Maharashtra?
I think it is about the Sanyukta Maharashtra movement itself.
He says that.
So I knew, but sorry sir, I am not able to recall.
Okay. You know something about politics of addition?
No, sir.
No? Okay. See, Congress once upon a time was used to be called as an umbrella party. what made it possible for Congress to emerge that kind of party?
Sir, is umbrella. I think the entire freedom movement and the kind of leaders which are there in Congress, that is why it could include all the people from all the sections, and basically it had logistics and resources through which it could assure development to all the sections. That is why it was called an umbrella party.
Resources.
Yes, sir.
And what else you say?
Logistics.
Logistics.
Volunteers.
Because of that.
Yes, sir.
Your city Pune is, I think, called as cultural capital. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir, because I would give the credit to the audience in Pune, which are very much aware of classical music, classical dance, and if you see festivals like Savai Gandharva, they are always thronged by people. This is one thing, audience.
So that must be one activity.
Yes,
What else?
second is in Pune there have always been artists who have pursued any kind of art form very I would say passionately. Like we had in dancers we had Rukmini Bhatte, or we still have Suchira Desapekar, we had Panditji. So all of them have pursued art very passionately, and
No, but just tell me one thing. From whatever you are seeing, is your idea of culture equal to classics?
no sir, certainly not. It is.
But then whenever it comes to talking about culture,
Yes,
all that you are talking about is classics.
yes sir, but there are other forms like literature or art or architecture also. So this is also included in the culture. So that has also flourished in Pune. We have had many playwrights, we have had architecture structures like Srinivada. So that has also been one of the characteristics of Pune.
The Shandaravana can't be described as classical architecture.
Yes, it can be, but it is. I thought that classical form of music which you were talking about.
No. What I am referring to is, from whatever you are saying, if I am to surmise whatever has been said, it seems that your notion of whatever is cultural is purely of a certain classical nature. So, in whatever field of culture we talk about, architecture, music, sculpture, dancing, literature, anything, if I'm to ask you like, name certain things in any of these fields, your answers would invariably be about things which are classical. So, is culture capable of moving beyond the classical idiom, or is culture equal to the classical idiom? That's what I'm asking. What's your definition and idea of culture?
Culture is not equal to classical idiom. It should also include your way of life and your festivals or some of your norms and rituals which you have been following. And also at present, culture is basically a way of life, and it should include everything from your etiquettes, your mannerisms, and the thought process which your ancestors have given you, and how well you follow them. So culture includes that.
Can you tell me about
also
Jews in Pune?
Sorry, sir.
Jews in Pune. Were there ever Jews in Pune? Are there Jews in Pune?
So I think there are Jews in Pune. That is, I have read somewhere. But this is the only.
You have read somewhere. You
Yes.
have never interacted with them or interacted with their festivals, with their cultures,
No sir.
with their place of worship.
No sir, I haven't.
Connected with the same thing, don't you think that whatever cultural activities are, conducted or take place in Pune, they are essentially elitist in character?
Sir, unfortunately I would agree to that point, because even I have debated with my friends regarding the same, that the entire culture, when we call Pune a culture capital, it is limited to only a class of people who know about the art form, who know about the culture, who have, as we call, purified Marathi language which they speak. So it is limited to only those people, and when we call Pune a cultural capital, it is required to broaden the base of the idea of culture and also the masses. It should reach up to the masses. So I will agree with you, sir.
Okay, fine. See, there has been a lot of talk about civil society. So do we really have that?
Civil society.
Civil society in India.
Yes, sir. We certainly have. Because civil society would be the set of people who are aware of what is happening in your country. They have certain ideas about your country and they pursue them. So certainly we have civil society, but I won't say that it is all pervasive or it is broader in nature. It is limited to few pockets, but I will still maintain that they have potential to grow, the civil society organizations.
Do you think that middle class, Indian middle class, has become active in
Yes.
politics?
Yes, sir.
What makes you to say that?
The rise of AAP and the
Okay.
support which people have given to them. This is what,
So you really feel that now the middle class has become active?
yes, sir. Because I feel that everybody wants to, everybody thinks about developing their country when it comes to their selfish interests. And when they think that I am not living in the kind of society which I want to live in, they become active. And I think because India's economic status has risen up to a level and all the basic requirements have been satisfied, the people have realized that for their own betterment, it is necessary to think about their country. This is what I pursue out of middle class rise from Anna Hazare movement. That people have felt that it is high time that we
But
have to
still
be
they
there.
say their party is Aam Aadmi Party. Isn't it contradiction in terms?
Sir, Aam Aadmi could include everybody, but unfortunately, the party is still new, and the kind of anti-corruption or kind of intellectual things they are talking about, Swaraj, the idea of Swaraj and everything. I don't think that people, apart from middle class people, would be able to relate to them or understand them. Now, if we look at the political campaigning of parties like Congress and BJP, they directly strike at your emotional chord of caste or religion. That is not something which AAP is doing. It is going through it has a set of intelligentsia, and they are.
Okay. If we follow your logic, let us follow that. AAP is not, what to say, using the card of caste or religion. What might be the logic?
So I think their entire politics is issue-based politics, and as Arvind Kejriwal keeps on saying, it is not my fight, it is your fight. AAP is not a we are not here to get power, we are here to develop nation. So I don't think that the whole idea of AAP is to form a nationwide campaign or nationwide political party and acquire power. I think it is more of a movement rather than a political party, and this is the logic behind AAP. That because of this, they do not have to strike an emotional chord, because I don't think they have long-term ambitions.
You have read Kejriwal's Swaraj?
Sir, only up close. I interacted with one of my friends who
Read it.
who is campaigner for, who is a part of Aam Aadmi Party.
But you have not read it.
No, sir.
Okay. Good enough.
Fine, thank you.